Jacob Dutton calling Alex a shooting star in 1923 makes Spencer's wife even more like Elsa. Jacob Dutton referred to Alex as if a shooting star could talk in the 1923 finale, and it increases her character's similarities with Elsa. Elsa Dutton is one of the lead characters from 1883, the previous Yellowstone spin-off that shows the family's perilous journey to Montana. Following her role in the frontiersman drama, she's become a critical character throughout the franchise, serving as the narrator in both 1923 and Yellowstone's ending. Despite not being blood-related, she and Alex had a lot in common. Julia Schlapfer played Alexandra in 1923's cast, and while being in an ensemble with Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, and Timothy Dalton, she managed to stand out with an outstanding performance. She and Brandon Sklenar had incredible chemistry in the show, and Alex was a major component of some of the show's most unforgettable and emotional scenes. She may not be a Dutton by blood, but Taylor Sheridan seemed to be illustrating that her strong personality made her a member of the family all the same. Jacob Dutton describes Alex to Kara after she passes in the hospital, using the aforementioned words. Jacob is essentially stating that Alex had a vibrant and fearless personality, which sounds a lot like what we knew about Elsa, who craved adventure and love above all else. Funnily enough, Elsa was also described in 1883 as lighting with the yellow hair, marking an apparent similarity even in the way other characters view them. Both women were bright and bold as could be. Tragically, both characters met saddening, premature ends. Elsa Dutton died in 1883's finale, just as Alex perished in the hospital, finally reaching Montana and giving birth to John Dutton Hugh. It's worth mentioning Kara as well, given that Jacob compares her to Alex. The Duttons represent many things, and it's hard to argue at times whether they're the heroes or the villains. One thing is clear, however, which is that these women demonstrate the most profound positive aspects of what it means to be a Dutton. Following 1923, 1944 is intended to be the next Yellowstone prequel. Other spin-offs will likely be released first, but Taylor Sheridan wants to continue filling in the gaps of the Dutton Ranch in the 20th century. With Elsa Dutton narrating 1923, Alex Dutton taking over in 1944 seems like a fantastic choice, especially given that the show would likely revolve around Spencer Dutton raising their son. Currently, there are no casting announcements for this series at all, so only Taylor Sheridan knows. The fire crackled under a canopy of stars, sending shadows dancing across the Montana homestead. Jacob Dutton stood with his hat in hand, the night wind brushing silver into his hair. Across from him, Alexandra stood with her eyes fixed on the open sky, wide, dark, and eternal. Spencer had gone to fetch more firewood, but Jacob stayed behind, drawn to the quiet defiance in the young woman's stance. She reminded him of someone. It had been lingering in the back of his mind since she first set foot on Dutton land, but he hadn't dared say it aloud, not even to Kara. It wasn't the way she dressed, although even in frontier garb, she wore herself with the ease of royalty. Nor was it her accent, that lilting European melody that sounded like poetry against the howling wind. It was her spirit. Elsa. Jacob hadn't uttered her name in years, not since James and Margaret buried her under the Texas sky. But the ghost of her had walked beside the Duttons ever since, brushing her fingertips across the pages of their legacy, whispering through generations. And now, standing here in front of him, head tilted toward the cosmos, fearless and fiercely in love with Spencer, was another comet streaking through the family's sky. You know, Jacob said softly, "You're like a shooting star." Alex turned to him, eyes curious but not surprised. She had sensed it, too, the weight of memory she carried unknowingly. "I'll take that as a compliment," she said with a smile. Jacob nodded. "You should, but I don't mean it lightly. Shooting stars don't just shine, Alex. They blaze. They burn bright and fast, tearing through the heavens like they've got somewhere to be, something urgent to do. You." He paused, eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "You move like that. Like time can't hold you." Alex looked down for a moment, touched. "I suppose that's true. I've never been good at standing still." Jacob smiled faintly. Neither was Elsa. There it was. The name. Spoken aloud, it hung in the air between them like smoke from the fire. Alex tilted her head, the name unfamiliar but oddly reverent. "Elsa." "My niece, Spencer's sister." Jacob's voice turned gravelly. "She died young. Too young. But in the time she had, she lived more than most folks do in a lifetime. She had the same look in her eye that you have when you're writing, or laughing, or standing up to the damn cattlemen like they're schoolboys. Wild, brave, restless." Alex's breath caught. "That's beautiful, and terribly sad." "She loved the world," Jacob said, his eyes distant now. "Every inch of it. And she believed love was worth the risk. She rode alongside cowboys in Comanche. She was fearless, until the end." Alex stepped closer, her voice quiet. "And Spencer? Was he close with her?" Jacob nodded. "They were just kids when we left them in Texas, but he worshipped her. Elsa was the sun in that boy's sky. When she died, a part of him died too. Maybe that's why he wandered so far, chased war and danger. Maybe he was just chasing her shadow." Alex felt something stirred deep within her chest, a weight, or a gift. "And now." Jacob looked up at her, firelight flickering in his weathered eyes. Now he's found another light to follow. Alex's lips parted, and she blinked hard, trying to steady the emotions that came rushing in. She wasn't Elsa. She knew that. She hadn't lived the American West or walked in boots made of hardship and dust. She hadn't seen death on a wagon trail or carved dreams out of the prairie. But she felt it, every loss the Duttons had carried. She'd stepped into a legacy not of blood, but of spirit. And Jacob, the patriarch who rarely wasted words, had just welcomed her into that lineage. "I'm honored," she said finally, "but I don't want to be a shooting star that burns out too soon." Jacob chuckled softly. "No one ever does, sweetheart. But you can't dim the fire in you just to make it last longer. Elsa didn't, and Spencer wouldn't love you if you did." There was silence then, the kind that says more than conversation ever could. The wind whistled through the pine trees, and the stars watched in quiet approval. When Spencer returned, arms full of split logs, he saw something different in the way Jacob looked at his wife. Not just approval, something older, deeper. Recognition. Like a man who'd seen a ghost and found peace in it. Later that night, as Alex lay curled beside Spencer in the quiet of their cabin, she whispered, "Did you ever think maybe I was meant to find you? That somehow the Duttons have been calling me all along?" Spencer brushed a lock of hair from her face, smiling softly. "I think Elsa would have loved you." Alex closed her eyes, warmed not just by the fire, but by the legacy she now carried, not as a burden, but as a beacon. She understood now that love in this family came wrapped in sorrow and starfire. That the women who shaped the Dutton men were fierce, luminous, and uncontainable. She didn't need to be Elsa's replacement. She was her echo, a shooting star that found a place to land. Let me know if you'd like a version from Alex's point of view, or even a poetic version based on this scene.